In the time since Pokemon Home has released, Little Cup has gotten quite a few new tools to play with. These include some old favorites, such as Alolan forms of Grimer and Diglett, and some newcomers, such as the Hisuian forms of Growlithe and Voltorb. With these and more, it begs the question, how good were they, and was anything banned as a result of Pokemon Home? Perhaps the most defining Pokemon in the current metagame, Voltorb-Hisui is a fantastic Pokemon that is very hard to answer. Voltorb Kanto was already quite good due to its access to Terra Blast, but now that it's bolstered by a Grass Stab, it becomes a mainstay. Grass moves such as Giga Drain gave it some nice longevity, while Leaf Storm is a terrifying option to deal massive amounts of damage. Add in Terra of Ice, Fire, or Rock, and it's something to be feared, and for good reason. It is currently ranked as A+ on the availability rankings, and it shows in battle. Making a return after Generation 7 and getting skipped over in Generation 8, the strongest knockoff in the tier belongs to Grimer-Alola. Its grass resistance is fantastic, especially when Grimer has such good bulk. 80 HP and 15 each defensive stat is quite solid. This is bolstered by Stab, Knockoff, and Drain Punch, making it very hard to switch into while having options to remain healthy. While it is quite slow, it hits exceedingly hard even versus resists or typical defensive staples such as Mudbray, Mariony, or Fungus. Poison Touch is also a nice addition, giving you a 30% chance to poison the opponent on contact. While a different ability such as Regenerator would be preferred on a defensive Pokemon, removing an item poisoning an opponent is nothing to scoff at. Fundamentally, Grimer-Alola is showing the old adage of slow and steady wins the race. Diglett-Alola is quite solid, but nowhere as good as its original incarnation. It takes on a much more defensive role compared to how aggressive and offensive Arena Trap made Diglett Kanto. With 19 speed, steel typing, access to Stealth Rock, and being a reliable tech to Walk Roll, it slots in as a fast but defensive rocker. Access to a lot of Diglett Kanto's moveset is especially nice, as it has Memento for setting up sweepers, Sludge Bomb for hitting grass types, Stab Iron Head which hits neutral targets well, and more are handy tools for dealing with the grass-laden metagame. Tangling Hair seems lackluster on baseline, but being able to force an opponent's fast sweeper to slow down to make your Scarfers in the back faster than those sweepers is always a treat. In addition, due to it being basically just Diglett Kanto, but it's slower, it's been seen as a suicide lead on hyper-offense teams. Other stealth rockers typically focus on their increased bulk and better defensive stats, giving Diglett-Alola a well-earned spot in the metagame. Just because Diglett got a goofy little haircut doesn't make it any less capable of being a solid team member. Alright, Bonky Kong is back! Oh, banana! Grookey is back and is balanced because they removed Grassy Glide. What made Grookey so unbalanced before is that it broke the rules of priority by having what was essentially an unconditional 70 base power terrain boosted stab move that could outpace you because reasons. But good news, it doesn't have that, so it's slotted more into being a choice scarfer, which really works quite well. Woodhammer still hits really hard, and pairing that with knockoff and U-turn means it's quite difficult to get the jump on Grookey. This also provides for fantastic team support to poison types, as they no longer have to fear earthquakes as often due to their base power being halved. Now that it's a solid choice scarfer or pivot as opposed to a broken priority spammer, it no longer makes me go bananas when thinking about it in Builder. Because of the grassy terrain set up by Grookey, both Trudel and Drifloon have seen a new role on teams as unburdened sweepers. Grassy Seed is an item consumed while grassy terrain is active, allowing either to get a defense boost and activate Unburden. Trudel is considered stronger due to its access to Swords Dance, Stab, Gunk Shot, and Knockoff, allowing for its neutral hits to even do extremely large amounts of damage after a boost. Drifloon, on the other hand, still has flexibility with its set, even as a Grassy Seed Unburdened sweeper. It can use a Calm Mind set, a typical utility set with Will-O-Wisp and Hex, or a physically offensive acrobatic sweeper. Both Pokemon can then use Terra Blast to shore up their weaknesses and break over problematic matchups. Finally, we gotta get into the bans. Unfortunately, we had to take the dog out of the park because he was immolating the entire place. Growlithe-Hisui was way too strong because it had solid stats, a good offensive stab combo, and access to Head Smash and Flare Blitz. This would have been more manageable if Growlithe didn't just have access to Rock Head to mitigate any recoil that these powerful moves would have as a downside. Also, you had access to Morning Sun for recovery, Flame Charge to become faster than your opponent, and Terra to remove your weaknesses or become even more nuclear offensively. It was too much for the tier, so the good boy will be stuck at home. Last but not least for the current metagame, Sticky Webs got the boot. The metagame is still in flux due to lack of fantastic defensive options, but the most over-centralizing part besides Growlithe-Hisuian was Sticky Web. It required that every team had a Drifloon to be able to deal with it effectively, as rapid spinners such as Toadstool and Quaxly could be spin blocked easily, resulting in lost turns and easy webs. Offensive threats are even better, with the aforementioned Voltorb-Hisui being a great teammate for webs by threatening Drifloon and the spinners. In addition, its baseline 20 speed couldn't be outsped without a Choice Scarf. After a suspect vote, sticky webs were banned. The current concern to the metagame are the previously mentioned Voltorb-Hisui, who is quite oppressive to deal with due to its access to coverage via Terra Blast, Grassy Strudel for its ease to get a Sword Stance and the existence of very few checks that can actually stop it, and Shelter for being a one-turn win button because of how potent it is and the metagame shifts that work directly in its favor. Thank you all very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you could like, share, subscribe, ring that notification bell, all that sorts of good stuff, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm pretty close to being monetized, so any and all support is greatly appreciated. Thank you, and as always, have a good day.